it takes a certain kind of person to do it. Uh, it's stressful at times. Sometimes you question yourself, what am I doing? Some nights you don't sleep well because things are not falling in place, and you have a race date in a week, and you still are missing parts of the puzzle, and but you stick with it because you love it, and then it makes it happen.
Welcome to the Motorsports and Driver Development Show. My name is Katie.
I'm Kido.
And today we are joined with Pedro Vargas, who is a promoter of motorsports events in Baja. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. How are you doing?
We are so good. It is a rainy Saturday here in Seattle, but we are great.
Tijuana is also sunny and beautiful right now, but we're staying inside.
Yep. That's good. So we're just going to go all the way back to the beginning, and I want to know, how did you even get started in racing in the first place?
It was because we grew up, my brothers and I grew up in a community in Playas de Tijuana, which is bordering with San Diego. It's a beach community. And back in those days, this place was populated by only 28 families. We were one of the 28 families, but the whole development was already built, and that means infrastructure, streets, parks, the whole thing, but very little houses. Just to give you an idea, right now it's populated by 50,000 people. So it was perfect for promoters to put on motorsports. So we would be having quarter-mile races, track races, motocross races, circuit street races, go-kart races, the whole bit. So I was exposed at a really young age to motorsports. I was 8 when all these things were happening. So that sparked my interest.
So how old were you when you first raced?
When I first raced my BMX motorcycle or bicycle, I was 10 years old. But then, a real race by a sanctioning body was 1997. I was 37 years old. It was a Score 250 race in San Felipe, Baja California, in a Class 3 truck. That was my first race.
Okay, so that was off-road racing.
I love it. I still love it. It's expensive. It's hard on the body. It's hard on the equipment. And by the end of the race, you have a pile of steel and rubber, and you have to rebuild it again. So that kind of threw me into circuit racing, street racing in Tijuana in 1998. TRE Motorsports back in the day, they put on a street race in Tijuana, and I entered it. I learned about it a month before the race, and I put a 914 Porsche together in a month, and I participated. And those guys put on several other races in Baja, Mexicali, Tecate, Ensenada, and we participated in those. We did well. We got second places, never our first place, but we got a taste of it and we liked it.
So you mentioned growing up, it was a small community with lots of racing. Now you have so many more people. Does racing still happen, or is it a different scene now?
It's totally different because it's populated now. It's not possible to close the streets anymore over there. It's just really crowded. You couldn't do it even if you wanted. It's just impossible to control it because of the traffic now. So no, it doesn't happen anymore.
So I heard about this race that used to happen in the streets of Tijuana, where it sounded like it was wheel to wheel and kind of a run what you brung thing. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I did mention that TRE Motorsports in '98, they put on this race. It was the first ever in Tijuana. It was on the Rio Zone, which is really close to the border with San Isidro, on the other side, on the U.S. side. So some guy by the name of Dave Buzaglu, I think it is, he brought in the Porsche Club of San Diego, and they brought their cars. And it was a great event. It was pretty nice. They had like 60 entries, and I was one of the entries. My first participation on a street race. It went well, and went so well that they did a series for a couple of years, and we participated in those also. Yeah.
So it was a Grand Prix style race where they
It's a Grand Prix style race, yes.
on the streets and then
On the streets of Tijuana. Close it up to traffic, put barriers and the whole bit. Yeah, it was pretty well organized.
That's so cool.
This is crazy. So did you have to qualify for position, or I mean, how did they do that?
Yeah. You would do a couple of hot laps, and they would time you, and then that's how you got into the grid. That's how you qualified and got a place on the grid. Yeah.
How long did that style of racing go on for? Like how many years?
How many years? I think it was 98, 99, 2000, and 2001, about 4 years.
Oh.
And then it just went away. And a local guy, my friend Martin Caldera, he picked up that project and did it for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, more than that. Yeah, 15 years. He did like 55 races.
Wow.
He's dormant right now. He went into other businesses, and so nobody's doing any street racing per se in Baja right now. City style racing, not anymore.
I'm really sorry I missed that.
It was fun. It was fun. He had a following, but as the city gets crowded, it gets more and more expensive to do, and the authorities don't want to risk anybody getting hurt. So that's why we kind of looked outside of the city into the highways, to do other types of racing on tarmac, not just off-road and Baja. And that's where we got the idea of doing something different.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little. So Baja is still very much known for all the races you guys have. Obviously, the Baja 1000, very well known, it's off-road. But talk a little bit about the other kinds of racing that goes on, and you put some of them on.
Well, really, I'm the only one that does any other type of racing other than off-road racing. There's other sanctioning bodies, aside from SCORE, local guys that are doing really well too on off-road racing promotions, but nobody has done or is doing right now any tarmac racing. Back in 2015, we put on a long-distance rally from Tijuana all the way down to Cabo, a speed stage rally. We closed the highways 25 times along the way. Each section was about 15 to 20 mile long sections, full speed, closed off to the civilian traffic. And it went well. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, we didn't do it. This year, we're not going to do it either, but we have plans to do it on 2021 again. And then we have the Hillclimb, which you guys have been to. And aside from that, nothing else on tarmac is happening as far as motorsports right now. It's all off-road.
So what is the name of your rally from Tijuana down to Cabo?
It's called the Transpeninsular Road Race, Transpen Road Race. And our plans for 2021 is to run it in the state of Baja, not going all the way to Baja South. Mm-hmm. That means we're going to start in Ensenada and end up in Tijuana, doing a loop on the state. And that's the plan. It's also going to be 1,000 miles. It's both for cars and bikes on the highways, closing off highways on speed sections. And we're going to add a regularity type race along with the speed stage rally. So if you have a car that is not caged, it's got seat belts, and it's a Gran Turismo car or a rally car without any of the required safety features for full speed racing, you can enter that regularity rally and have fun. It's timed. You have to hit certain points at a certain exact time. You know about it, but maybe the folks don't know about it. So every second you miss that target time, up or down, you get a bad point for each second. So the idea is to hit those targets at the exact time specified on your road book.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's,
we call those TSD rallies up here, where you
time, speed, distance.
Yeah, where you have to. If you're too early, you get penalized. If you're too late, you get penalized also. And so it's about navigating and maintaining, a particular speed. Yeah. So, yeah, that's awesome. That's great. It's great way to combine those two as well.
Yeah.
So,
precision.
Yeah. Very. Yeah.
So how did you make the transition from being somebody that just raced in your community to now putting these events on?
Age? No. Well, my last off-road race was in 2010. Yeah. You know, family obligations, business obligations kind of pull you away from the fun stuff. So I stopped racing and went into my business. I'm a builder, architect builder. But you know, the bug is still always there. You know how it is. You know, once bitten, you're forever hooked. So I'm like, you know, I need the adrenaline rush. I need to be participating in motorsports somehow. I can't do it right now by being a driver anymore, or a rider, much less, because I did some motorcycle racing also. Anyway, so what do I do? I'm like, well, why don't we start putting on races? You know, Baja is known for racing. We have a long history in racing, but none or almost none in road racing, you know, tarmac racing. So I got the idea of doing this Transpen Rally that I told you about, and we did it. We've done it 4 times. And then on a motorcycle rides with a bunch of friends, we went up to the San Pedro Martir observatory, which is the 2nd largest in America. And I'd been to that road, but it was not paved. Only this time it was paved. And I'm like, this is perfect for a hill climb. You know, that was back in 2016. So in 2017, we announced the race. It was scheduled for September the 8th, I think, 2017. We didn't get one single entry. So I went up to Rancho Meling, which was going to be base camp, to cancel, you know, the reservations and all that. And right there and then, I got a signal on my cell phone. Somebody was looking for me. It was some outfit. I don't know if I can say the name. Is it okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, the Hoonigans. You know, the Hoonigan media contacted me. They heard about the race and they wanted to sponsor it. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to cancel it because I don't have any entries. They go, what if we bring entries? Can you still make it happen? I go, well, I got all the permits. So yeah, we can make it happen. I just need time. They go, no, that's fine. So let's do it for October the 31st, I think it was. I'd have to check that. But they made it happen. That's how it all started on the Hillclimb, the San Pedro Martir Hillclimb, which is a 30-kilometer section of road that goes uphill. It climbs 6,000 feet, 30 kilometers. So it's pretty steep. Additionally to this, it's got 150 turns, which is really challenging. And that's how we got the idea. And that's how we made it happen. You came to the one on 2017, was it?
2018.
18. Yeah.
So now we're going for fourth year, excuse me, in October. If all goes well, you know, with this pandemic stuff, hopefully we'll get it under control. But we're scheduled for October the 1st. Excuse me, the 2nd. We got 30 plus entries right now, registered, paid for, and all that. So it's going well.
Yeah. I think the thing that, for me, I don't race, but I come and I support. I think the thing about that event specifically is the fact that it is so beautiful. I don't think you could find a better location to race. And for people watching or listening, you can take the stage all the way up to the top and you're in a completely different environment. The temperature drops, the trees are different. And if you get up high enough, you can see, you'll have to tell me, you can see 2 bodies of water, one on each side. I don't know which bodies of water they are, but it's incredible.
Yeah, the San Pedro Martir mountain range is one that goes from North America all the way to the south, the tip of Mexico. But this part, on this location, we have the highest peak in all of Baja. It's 10,000 feet, I think. It's the highest peak. And you can see it from the observatory. And you're right. You can see the Gulf of Cortez, or the Sea of Cortez, on one side, and you can see the Pacific Ocean on the other side. So yeah, the location is beautiful. Where we started is 500 meters above sea level. So it's kind of deserty type of, low bush, sandy terrain. And you're right, as you climb up, you get up to the pine forest, which we get snow. It's like being in Switzerland or something like that. It's incredible. You can't believe you're in Mexico, because everybody's got this idea that Mexico is cacti and all that kind of stuff. No, we have mountains and we have pine trees and pine forests and all that. Yeah. So, yeah, the location is it's amazing. It really is. And you got to say this hill climb is the longest in the world so far. Most hill climbs are anywhere from 1.5 kilometers or a mile to, like, Pikes Peak is what, 12 miles, I think, 12 and a half miles. We're almost 20 miles. That's how long it is. So, people who have come and raced it, like you, Kido, have enjoyed it immensely. They're like, what a rush. And it lasts, 15, 20 minutes. So going full speed for 20 minutes, it's, not an easy task.
Oh, it's endurance for sure.
Yeah.
So you definitely have big ideas and you see them through. You think, this is a great road for a hill climb. It's going to be the longest. Why don't I put that on? Do you ever have moments where you think like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Or are you like, how is this ever going to come together? Or do you just like, you have your idea and you're like, I'm gonna get there?
Yeah, it's quite challenging. Like for the hill climb specifically, we had to convince, first of all, the state of Baja California, and then the Farmers Union or Association, whatever it's called, and then the observatory, and then the National University, and then the city of Ensenada. So you got to pull all those people together and convince them that it's a good thing, that you're not destroying the environment, first of all, because this is an existing road. It's already impacted. So you're not going to do anything differently. Like say off-roading, that, unfortunately, it's invasive. This is not invasive at all. So we got a good mark there. And then the farmers, they don't like the road being closed because it disturbs the flow of traffic and all that. So we have to coordinate everybody and make it happen. And we did. We made it happen, and we're happy about it. But every year it's a challenge, because politicians change, things change, people change. So every year you have to go through the process and convince everybody. But I'm sorry, one of my kids is using, don't use it, thank you. Anyway, it's part of the challenge. That's the most difficult part, convincing everybody. And then, of course, you have the logistics and the timing. This has to be run like a military operation time-wise. Everybody's got to be at a certain time, a certain place at a certain time. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. And putting together all this, it's what I like. Being an architect, building stuff is coordinating people. This is no different, really. You have to just coordinate people and convince them that it's a good thing.
Yeah. So having run your event, you have a great crew, you have a great starter, a lot of course marshals and so on. And I hear that a lot of these guys do it for other races as well, like the Baja 1000. That make it a little easier to find people who are experienced, since you guys have, some of these forms of motorsports down there already, or are you finding that, you're having to do a lot of retraining, or what's that like?
Now, we did talk a little bit about the off-road racing. So we have a long history of racing in Baja. So there's a lot of people that love motorsports, and it's not difficult to get marshals and race officials to volunteer and help out. So that hasn't been difficult, really. There's a lot of enthusiastic crowd here, and we pull from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That help us every year. They're happy to do it. Some college kids that are starting engineering and are involved in motorsports in other ways. Some are racers themselves, motocross racers, and rally racers locally, and they're happy to come and help. Yeah. So we have a pool of people that we can pull from. So in that aspect, we're lucky, we're blessed, really. Yeah.
Are they people that you built relationships with prior to having your own events, and then you just kind of call up your friends, or are you cold calling, just asking people if they want to work with you?
Some are my friends from long ago that have raced with me also, and their kids also, get involved, and they have friends that are, also involved in racing. So, one thing brings the other. So it's easy, really. And like for the long distance rallies, we bring 50 bodies to each race. That's how many people we need. For the hill climb, we need about 20. The crew is about 20 strong. We have a visual race marshal at every 2 miles. We try and keep everybody on line of sight all the time, all the racers, just in case somebody has a mechanical issue or, God forbid, an off-road excursion. And so we have the flag guys, the race marshals, the guys who do the timing, the guys who do the start, the finish, and all that.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit.
They really are the ones that make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
On race day, I kind of pull away from it and just let them run the event, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good about it.
Yeah, you have a good crew.
Yeah. So you're talking about the hill climb and the long race down Baja, but what do you have in the works? You have anything new?
Yes, like the hill climb, I stumbled on this piece of road on the old highway that connects the wine country in Ensenada to Tecate, which is the border town with the States, with the U.S. Just, going over the Google Earth thing, I noticed this kind of loop that was attached to the highway. So I started investigating, and it so happens that this road that connects Tecate to Ensenada was renovated about 5 years ago. It was widened. Used to be 20 feet wide, now it's 40 feet wide. Anyway, one section of that highway with the new building technologies, they just cut some hills and made it straight where it used to make a loop of 7.5 miles. So anyway, this loop is still there. It's tarmac. It's 2-lane blacktop, 20 foot wide, and connected to the new highway makes a 10-mile loop. So I looked at it on the Google Earth thing, and I got closer, and I'm like, this is perfect for a North Ireland style motorcycle or car race. It's a public highway, with all the trees and the rocks and the whole thing, along the way, the furniture they call it. So I'm like, this should be fun to put on a race, Irish style. So this was 2 weeks ago that I started doing this project. So I did a course, and I sent my brother and a friend. They went on motorcycles and did the loop. Brought some footage of the road. It's got some cleaning up to do, some potholes that we can fix, and I just launched the idea as a project out on social media. I launched it, and we've been getting a lot of response from people from North Ireland, Poland, France, England, the States, of course, several states in the U.S., and Mexico. So right now we have pre-registered 39 teams to come in 2021. The target date is February the 14th, 15th, President's Day in the States. So that's the target date right now. So we're doing a list, and we're collecting evidence that this is a viable or feasible event to take to the authorities so we can do the permitting process. So that's the way we're starting to pull this thing together, like we've done in the past for other races. Awesome. And only this time, what I notice is a lot of enthusiasm. It's kind of exploding. You go onto Facebook. I have a group that's called Baja Tarmac Racing on Facebook, Baja Tarmac Racing, and it's boiling right now with this new project. And we're getting all the guys in there, and we're publishing their picture on their motorcycles and announcing that they're pre-registered for the race. So, I think it's going to happen.
So this is like an Isle of Man TT style race.
Exactly. Isle of Man, Ulster Grand Prix in Northern Ireland, the Northwest 100. Just log in onto YouTube and look for those races, and you'll see what kind of racing this is. It's unbelievable. You're talking about 200 per hour speeds. Average speeds along the course, they're like 120, 130 miles average on laps, on real road racing.
So you mentioned a bunch of motorcycles, but are you open to cars in this also?
Yes, we've gotten a couple of guys interested that race cars, and why not? The circuit's going to be there. It's a temporary circuit, and
raising your hand.
Yeah. This one right here. Interested.
He's your 40th interested person.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great for cars also. I have no doubt. The circuit itself is it's got a section right there that's got a section of highway where you could do the pit lane naturally already. It's already built in there. Infrastructure is right there. All you got to do is bring in one of those build-up towers with the control tower and some tires and barriers, and it'll be a perfect venue for motorcycle or car racing. Sidecars also, yeah, why not?
Yeah, sidecars.
Yeah, right. So you made the switch from being a racer to being an organizer. Talk about some of the things that either you learned or surprised you when you got to the other side of the fence.
Right. When I first started thinking about being a promoter, I had no idea on how many ingredients it takes to make this happen. The political side is it's interesting, to say the least. But yeah, in 2014, when we started to organize the long distance rally that I told you about, the Transmittance Rally, I came into some hurdles, some political hurdles from sanctioning bodies in Mexico that have a stronghold on motorsports. They didn't want to let us do it unless we adhere to them. But I really didn't see any value in being part of them because they're so far away. Baja is like an island in Mexico, really. Our culture is different than the rest of the country. The location is far away. We're surrounded by oceans. It's almost, like I said, almost an island. So I didn't see any value, and I didn't want to become part of it. And we did the 2015 race, and they stopped us a couple of times along the way. Yeah, it happened. But we made it happen. The next year, we had to go into a legal battle. Our Constitution lets any citizen of Mexico do whatever kind of activity they want, including motorsports. So we got into a legal battle and we won. And then the following year, the deal we made is that I was going to become a part of this organization that I'm not going to name. And we did it. And again, I proved my suspicions that I didn't need them to run my events. So I said, thank you, but no thank you. And we've been doing it by ourselves. The Hillclimb, we're self-sanctioned now. We go by the FIA standards, but we're self-sanctioned. That gives us plenty of leverage in how we do things and the classes we build to come and race and the type of racing that we can do. So it really is grassroots racing, and we want to keep it that way as much as possible with all the safety features. As much as we can invest in safety, that's my main concern. Keep the public, the spectators, the racers, our staff, everybody safety first. That's my aim all the time. And then the fun factor, of course, at the end of the racing, everybody becomes friends. Everybody gets together. We have dinner. We do the award ceremony, and it's a great time. It really is. I enjoy it a lot.
I'm Their events are really fun. I think the thing that people don't know when you decide to put on a race is that suddenly you mentioned all the ingredients. You are a lawyer, you are a salesperson, you're just a logistical octopus with a million arms going a million different ways. And then you have to think about things like social media, making sure your website's up to date, making sure people's questions get answered over email. And it's not what you see on race day that makes all the magic happen.
No, when people come and race, especially spectators, they see the finished product, but all the work that goes behind it is just a monumental task. I did mention the political side of it, but you also have the commercial side of it. You know, things need money to be able to happen. When we get all the crew, just to bring the crew up to the mountain, you know, it's 20 bodies that you have to house, feed, transport, the whole thing. So yeah, it takes money to do it. So the commercial issue or side of it is complicated. And then the logistics of it, you know, closing the roads, getting everybody, like I said, coordinated, because it's a public road and people have the right to use it anytime they want. So you have to, you know, you have to juggle all these things, and you know, it takes a certain kind of person to do it. It's stressful at times. Sometimes you question yourself, what am I doing? You know, some nights you don't sleep well because things are not falling in place, and you have a race date in a week, and you still are missing parts of the puzzle, and but you know, you stick with it because you love it, and then it makes it happen. You know, so it really is a love of motorsports. It's done with the heart. We don't make any money on it. You know, we just do it because we like it. You know, I'm semi-retired right now on my business, and you know, what else am I going to do? Just grow old and wither away? No, I don't think so.
I love it.
It's a great way to leave your mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of work, but it's still it's a great way to leave your mark.
You know, we've made history in Baja already, I think. You know, our events are small, but significant, I think. It's, you know, it's on the books right now. You know, the first guy who did tarmac racing in Baja is Fool. but yeah, we enjoy it a lot. We like it.
So even though you don't race yourself much anymore, I'm curious, do you still have a dream race or a bucket list race that you want to do yourself?
I might get back to racing. Who knows? You know, who knows? Why not? There's a couple of things up in the bucket list that we need to do still, and one of them is another off-road race that what's the name of this body? Nora. They do the Mexican 1000. It's kind of like the Baja 1000, but a little more relaxed, and it's a stage rally. So, you know, you race during the day, and then you camp out and you relax. Your guys are working on the car, and you can have a beer and enjoy other people's company and all that. Yeah, that's what I want to do still. Why not? It's, you know, like I said, the bug is always there.
Yeah. I think the thing that we found, specifically Kido, is putting on races is such a job. It is more than a full-time job. And so it takes away from your ability to go racing. You know, there's only so many hours in the day. And so you really have to love it and love all sides of it if you're going to put on races. Yeah.
That goal of mine of going back to racing won't happen until my crew is well trained enough to run things by themselves. I'm kind of a control freak, so it's kind of hard to let it go. But I've been doing it lately. On the last Hillclimb, I let the guys do it. You know, we have these kids. He's 21, 22, I think. Pretty good. You know, I let him run the whole thing, and he did it really well. So.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about him, and I said to Kido at the end of the first day, I was like, that kid is good.
Yeah.
So he does a great job.
Yeah, as organizers, definitely makes it a little easier to pick out the guys who really know what they're doing. I mean, you can, you know, see the small things, and that's the little nuances that they do that really make the difference, you know, when they're aware of actually what's going on out there and they pick up on the little cues. And that guy, he was on top of it.
Can we stop calling him that guy? What is his name? I forgot.
The tall guy, the tall kid?
Yeah.
Jesus, Chuy. Yeah. He's a mechanical engineer pretty soon. I think he's got one more year of college to go. And then he's going to be a mechanical engineer. His dad's an architect also, a friend of mine. So, yeah, he absolutely loves motorsports. He's involved in not just with us, but with SCORE. You know, he does volunteering for SCORE and in other stuff, you know, 4x4 crawlers and I don't know what else. He's busy. He's got a busy schedule. And I'm afraid I'm not going to get him busier. And he's like, no. I'm with you. I'm always there. So.
When he gets his first job out of college, I'm going to need you to make sure that his boss lets him have some time off to be able to come.
Right. That'll be a contractual.
Yeah. Pedro says. Thank you so much for this conversation today and for sharing your whole story and your wisdom. Where can people find you online?
On Facebook as Pedro Vargas Valdez, or any of my groups. One is Baja Tarmac Racing, and then we have the San Pedro Martir Hillclimb and the Transpeninsular Road Race. You can find me on Facebook mostly. That's what I use the most. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.